Hey everyone, welcome back to PokeMarketLab. Today we are talking about the current market boom, the current bull market that we're seeing in the Pokemon collecting world here. It's definitely red hot, and I thought it would be interesting to look at some history here, looking at a bit of a time frame over the last year to see that kind of transition into what is now, I think, an over hot market, and maybe talk about how we got here. So you're seeing this time frame I kind of put together here, showing the last 12 months or so in the Pokemon collecting world. And on the left hand side, let's look at January through May of 2024. This is when Sword and Shield was really having a pretty good accumulation phase. It wasn't red hot, but things were going up nice and smoothly. We saw some great appreciation in products like Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, Lost Origin. Those were kind of the leaders at the time, and everything was appreciating nicely. And at that time, Scarlet and Violet was fairly well ignored. We were seeing most boxes in that era, $100 or less. SV base was definitely below 100. Paldea was really the only thing kind of holding things up. And as we shifted, it was really about May of 2024. And with the release of Twilight Masquerade and that Greninja, that things took a turn. The market shifted very suddenly and realized that Scarlet and Violet was not only cheap with all those cheap boxes, but had some really good cards. And this was, I think it was an organic demand at the time because SV wasn't. It's one thing when the market shifts and looks at products and starts to accumulate those products, and they're not good. SV base, those of us who were really making the decision about purchasing SV base based on the actual cards in those sets, were purchasing Scarlet and Violet all along because it was a fraction of the price of most Sword and Shield product, and the cards were good. And the market just shifted and realized that. And that was really, if you look at the chart of Twilight Masquerade, it really, it's a line in the sand where you start seeing that increase. So from May 2024 through about September 2024, we saw some really good appreciation in some of the Scarlet and Violet boxes, some of the better stuff. So it was the market was choosing which boxes. So like Scarlet and Violet base still at the time, even back in September, had climbed back out of its hole a bit, but wasn't accumulating past that $100 price point. And things started to shift and get red hot, I would say, right. And I call it kind of color coded these sections. Again, Sword and Shield was, things were doing well, but it wasn't going crazy. The only thing that was really, nuts at that time was Evolving Skies. But even then, we didn't see like the recent run up in Evolving Skies from kind of that $700, $800 range up to the $1,200 and now $1,500 range has been really recently. Again, in that green period there, things were just going up nice and steady. And kind of, you see the transition to yellow here, where again, market kind of shifts. Things start getting, not crazy, but, the market's shifting, the money's flowing, products are appreciating. And again, that red line here, which is really September, October, and it's marked by Surging Sparks previews. When we start seeing Surging Sparks previews, that's when things start getting a little crazy. That's when we start seeing fire start to grow here. Okay. And it was really when I think it was Surging Sparks. No, I don't think it had released yet. No, it hadn't released yet. And we saw Prismatic Evolutions previews. That's when the market lost it. That's when Surging Sparks was right about to release. And then Surging Sparks did release and it didn't crash. It continued climbing quickly. And even with the singles, right? We saw a great volume of single sales, booster box sales. We still see Surging Sparks booster boxes at about $250. And now you're seeing what we're seeing in Prismatic here with ETBs on a specialty set that are, it looks like we're going to see $150 ETBs on release day. And now, of course, we had Journey Together, which we have very little knowledge about what's in the set. Market doesn't care, but we're seeing boxes list and sell on the secondary market for pre-sale for $300 a pop. And when we start to see a market, in my mind, in my opinion, when we start to see a market start buying products sight unseen, that's clear we're in dangerous territory. And when I say dangerous territory, it means that the certain subset of the market, typically the financial part of the market, right? Collectors want to collect good stuff. They're not collecting things just because it's expensive. when we see hotness in this market like this, it's more the investing side of things, particularly short-term investors who are coming in. The jig's up. There's money to be made in Pokemon, so we get all those quote unquote investor bros, that we saw in the 2021 market come back in, and that's what we're seeing now. So it was a really organic shift in the market for the most part until recently. Okay. And so now what we're seeing, if you're seeing again, Journey Together, Prismatic's one thing, because Prismatic, the previews on the card were phenomenal. I don't think you can deny that. Now, is it worth $150 in ETB? That's a different question. But certainly the demand and the hype for the product was organic, because it happened. It started when you could get, I locked in, pre-orders for Prismatic ETBs at about that $45 price point. Okay. So it was really when the preview started pouring out, that's when it fueled the fire. Okay. And now that we're seeing sets that we barely have any previews for, and people are just ordering them at $300 a pop, booster boxes, sight unseen, Pokemon Center sold out, Pokemon Center ETB sold out within minutes. That is a signal to me that we are in an overblown territory. We're getting inorganic demand. This is investors that are assuming the market that has been in the last few months is going to continue moving forward, and that there's money to be made. That's the only why else would you pay $300 for a booster box when you have no idea what's in the set, right? That's not what collectors don't do that kind of thing. So yeah, a nice little time frame here. You can kind of see the progression of things. I just wanted to kind of outline that before we go into some further details here. So again, first point I want to talk about again, organic demand is behind us. We are in overblown territory. Makes it much, much harder to predict things. It makes it much harder to get, boxes at any reasonable price. And it's going to make it hard to figure out in time when to buy boxes and when to sell boxes. Me personally, my plan does not include buying $300 Journey Together booster boxes in the hope that that's going to keep rising. That to me is far too risky. I think the likelihood of getting holding that bag, so to speak, where the market gets pulled out from underneath you and things drop, which has happened before. We've seen that in Pokemon. That's too risky for me. So I'd rather the opportunity risk and sit out that market versus chase $300 booster boxes. The other thing is, it's really the game. The market's really been taken over by the scalpers and the short-term investors that assume that the market's going to continue to move forward. When you have a Prismatic Evolutions ETB that you can get at Target on release day and try to scalp and sell it for triple, that pulls a lot of people into the market that wouldn't normally be here. They don't care about Pokemon. They just care about making money. They have no skin in the game for Pokemon. They don't care about the cards. They don't enjoy it whatsoever. It's just to make money. So it brings a lot of other people, a lot of exogenous money that wouldn't normally exist in the Pokemon world. It brings it into the market. Another point is that, the jig is up on the Pokemon Center ETBs. We saw the journey. I've said this before. The data is very clear on Pokemon Center performance on Pokemon Center ETBs. The market's caught on. Journey Together Pokemon Center ETBs with very little information about what's going to be in them sold out within hours on day one of pre-order. So that's the days of being able to get those. I think, thinking back to like Temporal, those were listed for a long period of time before those sold out. So now we're down to hours here. And another point here, as investors, we're going to have to think about how do we approach this market? And it becomes much harder for people like myself to give you any kind of constructive plan on how to do so, right? My plan, I'm not chasing $300 booster boxes. I've said that before. To me, the best I can do is keep my ear to the ground and try to scoop up retail ETBs maybe when they come out or something, just to get a little exposure to the market. But my normal buy for a set, which would be a couple of booster boxes, and then if I really like the set, get a couple more between that $100 and MSRP price point. That's not going to happen. Not at the moment, not at least for like Journey Together. So I'm going to sit out booster boxes until I can get it to around that price point. And I would urge people to have a plan regarding that. I would urge people not to chase after that $300 price point. and not assume that it's going to go up. And again, you know, this is your money. If you want to buy $300 booster box and hold it and crack it or whatever you want to do with it, totally, of course, that's your prerogative. But if you're doing so, assuming that that's going to continue to go up, you're in a risky situation there, in a very risky situation. We could absolutely get a rope pull from Pokemon Center and get, you know, more product, or maybe the product bombs, maybe the set bombs, and the demand gets pulled out from underneath you, right? When we see a market like this, is very much a house of cards. It's built on momentum from Prismatic. And at the end of the day, that house of cards has investors at the top. The foundation of that house of cards is still the collectors. And if there's no demand for singles, if there's no demand for sealed product because the set's not great, that house of cards is going to fall, and it's going to fall quickly. You have to have the demand side of supply and demand. It cannot be all investors. It's not all investors with Pokemon. And if that collector part's not there, it's going to fall. So let's talk about selling. Again, this is a great market to sell into. If this is within your plan for selling in terms of whatever margin or percentage you're trying to get at, this is when you're going to want to do it. It's a great time to sell into the hype. You're not going to get the perfect price. Just know that if you sell, you know, call it Fusion Strike. If you sell Fusion Strike today, just know that, you know, with this may still be on an upward trend, but you cannot time the market perfectly, right? All you can say to yourself is, hey, this fits within my plan. This is absolutely a hyped market, meaning every product across the board is performing far better than it normally would in any given time period. So take advantage of that. Decisions about purchase price are going to continue to be difficult, like I mentioned. How do you purchase something like Journey Together? It's $300 a box in the secondary market right now. The best I think you can do, if you're not willing to spend more than MSRP, is maybe get some ETBs to put away. Maybe waiting is completely it could be completely part of a plan. Maybe wait for previews to come out. Maybe, you know, again, maybe a couple of ETBs so you get some exposure to it, but you're not spending hundreds of dollars on a booster box. So, and I think the MSRP is a fair line in the sand to say, hey, I'm not willing to spend more than MSRP. I think it's okay. I think it's reasonable to spend more than 100. You know, our price memory recently is, you know, $100 a box for like Surging Sparks, right before the previews really started to come out. So, I think obviously those days are gone, but I think the MSRP is a reasonable price to get in at. But the question is, are you going to actually be able to do that in any sets moving forward? And that's really unseen at this point. I think at least until like Team Rocket's this is going to continue through the Team Rocket set for sure. I don't expect that to change. And you know, this is the time where it doesn't make sense to load up on boxes at $300 a pop when historically we've not seen that. Historically boxes take a long time, years to get to that point. And to assume that's going to continue going upward from there, I think is a mistake. So, but just my opinion. So that's it. Again, just wanted to kind of go through the time frame here, kind of put some thought around where we've gone in the last year. It's been we went from, I think, a very normal market to a bull market. And I think just very recently, again, I think the money, the investing money, the short-term investing money, not you or I putting away a few boxes to hold on to for, you know, 5+ years and we enjoy the product. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about crypto money. I'm talking about crypto bros. I'm talking about scalpers hitting Costco's and everything. They have no skin in the game. They don't love the product. They're not willing to hold on to it. And we've seen them before, and eventually they'll go away. And this is a temporary market. And again, I think from the benefit of this kind of market to us and our type of investor is really going to be from a sell standpoint. We sell into the hype. So that's it for this one on PokeMarketLab. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what we're doing. And we will have a great weekend. We'll see you on the next one.